Hello everyone, welcome back to the Finding Your Freedom podcast, where we talk all things eating disorder recovery, and hopefully this is a place where you can find information that helps you with where you are in your recovery, or things that you just resonate with that help you feel a little bit more reassured in your recovery, or a place where you can find someone who you can reach out to support you in your recovery. And in this episode, I want to talk about a big topic, which is body changes in recovery. And I hope this episode will give you some practical support and guidance, and will also hopefully be honest with you about where you might get to in your recovery in terms of how you feel about your body. Because you might start recovery with the hope to get a real, true love of your body. And I really wish that for you. I wish that for everybody. If everyone had that, we wouldn't probably have the amount of eating disorders that we have, and so many people who are just so down about how they look all the time, and in such a state of always comparing and trying to be different. However, body love, for many people, that's not realistic, I don't think, at the early stages of recovery. So I want to start by saying that maybe body neutrality is a much more realistic initial goal, because you've got the rest of your life as a recovered person to then do some more work on falling in love with your body. And if you don't get there, it's fine. You know, our bodies are here for a purpose, and it's a bonus if we fall in love with them. They're not actually here for us to love, they're here to enable us to live our lives the way that we want to. For me, I'm over a year in recovery now, and if I'm honest, some days I don't love my body. I still have days where I wish that my body was the same as that girl who's just popped up on my Instagram feed with her toned thighs and flat stomach. But mainly, I just don't really think that much about my body at all. And for me, that's a much better place to be in than when I was in my eating disorder and it was the subject of my thoughts 24 hours a day. So when I say I don't think about it, what that means is I don't get up every day and go to the mirror and check to see if my tummy looks bloated, or my bum looks any bigger, or my thighs look any bigger, and I don't step on a scale. I just get up and get dressed, and I cut all of that out, and I just get on with my day. Now, of course, there might be situations that arise, I suppose, where I have to think a little bit more about my body than that. So if I'm buying new clothes, well, I don't love buying new clothes yet, because my body is still changing, and because, as you all know, it's an absolute minefield trying to find what size you are in any shop, in any kind of clothes. That isn't an eating sort of thing, that's just an absolute shambles of trying to work out, for most women, what to buy, what suits us and what size fits us. But yeah, my body's still, I think, slowly changing. And so for now, I just accept that the clothes I buy will look different to how clothes used to look on me. And like I say, I don't torture myself with it anymore. It is what it is. And I buy something I like, and if it looks different on me, it looks different on me. That's a much better place for me than having tiny clothes that fit a tiny body when I was in a whole world of turmoil and very sick. And so on the days when maybe I don't love my body, I just stop myself from overthinking and get on with the day. Because regardless of whether I want my body to be different in those clothes, I choose recovery every day. And by choosing recovery every day, I have to choose the body that I've got, and the health that I've gained, and the peace in my head over whether I love the way my jeans look on me that day. So let's talk about how we handle body changes. And it's a question that every client asks. And of course that's expected, because recovery inevitably, for many of us, maybe for most of us, will mean that our bodies will change. And in recovery, everyone's body will change at a different pace. For me, my weight gain for, I think, the first couple of months was quite slow. And if I'm honest, I felt a bit relieved about that, because I thought this is going to be easy and I can do this. And then For the following 3 months, the weight gain seemed very rapid, certainly much more than it had been at the start, which was scary, but we carried on, knowing that it was worth it at the end. And then it slowed down again. And then I had another few months recently where I gained a little bit more weight. And now I think my weight is probably quite consistent and quite stable, and I know that the clothes I put on each day are going to fit me. But my advice really is to get out of the mindset of wishing that you're going to like your body and love your body straight away, and maybe get into the mindset of just accepting it for what it is and what it will be, because your body's doing what it needs to do, and that isn't necessarily what you want it to do. And I think, I'm not saying it's a mistake or bad advice if people say at the beginning of recovery that they really want to love their body, but it's a really high bar. It's a real stretch to go from a world where you have maybe been punishing your body endlessly to then expecting to love it really, really quickly. I think there's a lot in between that. So if you can get there, amazing, but maybe don't set the bar that high initially, and just work towards it and get through the hard bits and get through the accepting it and appreciating it, and then move on to seeing if you really actually love your body. And it's not just an eating disorder thing, is it? Loving our body or expecting we should love our body. There's a lot of people without eating disorders who probably don't love their body. I've seen so many surveys that come out each year with people saying that they don't love their body and saying some quite extreme things that they would exchange for a body that they love. So it isn't just an eating disorder thing, but of course it's going to feel so much more triggering in an eating disorder when you're trying to adapt to changes in your body. I think if you're going into recovery with the aim of loving your body and loving your body quickly, then when all those scary bits happen in the middle, you might just feel a little bit like you're failing at recovery or not doing it properly. So I think that's my advice. Just aim for neutrality and acceptance and let the love come eventually. And something else I just want to say here, if I'm being completely transparent and honest, and I always am, your body image will probably get worse before it gets better. And I know that that feels really scary, but I'm going to repeat it. It will get worse before it gets better, but it will get better. So, why does it feel so bad initially? Why might it feel worse initially? I think a significant source of distress in recovery around body image is about the kind of disconnect between your physical body and what your brain perceives your body to be. Because your body is going to change much more quickly, and your brain is going to really need some time to catch up. So if you think your brain has kind of a mental blueprint of what your body shape and size is, when rapid changes occur in early recovery and when you start to gain weight, and that'll be quite quick probably at the start of recovery, then your physical body is changing faster than the blueprint your brain has of what shape and size your body should be. And I think it's this lag, this catching up, where your brain is trying to catch up with what's going on with your body, that we call cognitive dissonance, and it's kind of a feeling of distress. So it might be that waiting for your brain to catch up with what your body looks like, maybe you feel your body's just a bit alien and it doesn't feel like you and it doesn't look like you. But that's normal. Your brain is just trying to catch up with the changes in your body, and it will catch up with the changes in your body. But it's going to feel maybe uncomfortable, and it's often, for some people, maybe mistaken for a feeling of that your body's wrong and it's going to stay wrong, because you start out in recovery hoping to feel better about your body, but at that period where your brain is trying to catch up, then it might not feel like that, but you just need to hang on in there and be patient. Your brain will catch up and it will accept the changes in your body and what your body looks like, and it will stop being so afraid of those changes. And secondly, the reason maybe it feels so bad is because your body changing is a sign that you're losing your coping mechanism. Because for a lot of people with eating disorders, the reason for the eating disorder might not ever primarily be about weight. but that eating disorder is a coping mechanism which they've been using to manage their overwhelming emotions and anxiety and stress and fear. And the restriction you've been engaging in is kind of providing you a false sense of control and a sense of relief that enables you to cope with life. And when that restriction gives you that hit or that relief or control, it reinforces that restriction is necessary for you to feel safe. So when you enter recovery, the coping behaviour is removed, and of course you're then going to start to feel anxiety and body distress until your brain begins to learn that your new healthy behaviours are safe and that your new body is safe. And I just want to mention here something that may be a larger topic to talk about at a different time, but body dysmorphia is also a real thing, and you might have heard of that, and I think it's quite common for people in eating disorders to have some level of body dysmorphia, meaning that the way they see their body isn't necessarily how their body is, and they kind of see an exaggerated version of their body that maybe upsets them or causes them distress, but maybe it's not real. And it's not just a condition that people with eating disorders suffer with. For some people it's a condition on its own, and it's not necessarily about weight or body size. It might be about the size of their nose, or it might be about a completely different body part. But statistics show that about 50% of those with an eating disorder also meet the diagnostic criteria for having body dysmorphic disorder. And like I say, it's a mental health condition where an individual can't stop thinking about or focusing on perceived flaws in their appearance. And these flaws, or what they believe to be flaws, are often minor and completely unnoticeable to other people. But for the person who's suffering with body dysmorphia, the flaws are going to cause kind of an intense preoccupation and a distress. And a simple way to maybe try and understand body dysmorphia is, if you're old enough like me to remember Funhouse Mirrors, and if you don't, then maybe Google them if you're too young. But the whole purpose of those kind of Funhouse mirrors was that they were intentionally going to distort and change what you look like. That was the purpose of them. It was so you would go in and you would look completely different to how you do, and they would take your normal physical features like your nose and your stomach or your jawline or your eyes and completely distort them into something comical, some kind of monstrous image looking back at you that's supposed to be funny. And it is funny if you take it for what it is. And most of us, of course, know that what you see in a funhouse mirror is false, and you don't really look like that. But someone with body dysmorphia is going to look normally into their own mirror every day and genuinely believe that whatever that perceived flaw is real and true. And so to them, their body, when it's changing, might look completely exaggerated, and even if no one else can see it and if it's not real, then you might feel some distress around that. And I think I maybe had some of that early in recovery. I remember getting up one day feeling a real sense of panic when I looked in the mirror and decided that I looked 9 months pregnant overnight. And I messaged my coach, and I was sure that something had gone really badly wrong, and I sent her a picture of my 9 months pregnant belly, and she told me that my belly just looked like a normal belly to her. And I look back now at that picture and I can see clearly it really didn't look anything like I thought it did at the time. So be patient with yourself, and if you have days where your body seems completely different, it won't be completely different. Your body literally doesn't change overnight. So maybe just be patient with yourself, and those thoughts do change as you get used to your body changing, and when those body changes start to slow down. And I want to add here that, of course, at this part where you're struggling with your body image, which might get worse before it gets better in recovery, there might be a temptation to go backwards to restricting, because that temptation might feel really overwhelming, because historically you believed that restricting was going to solve the body image problem. But let's be honest, did restriction ever really solve the body image problem? And I think the answer to that is probably not for most of us, because if it did, you would not have got to a point where you were, and you would not have an eating disorder. And so, yes, for a while your body image is going to feel worse, and that temptation to go back to restricting is going to feel really strong, and it's going to test you. And while those feelings are intense, I get it that naturally as humans, when we feel uncomfortable, we instinctively feel that by doing something about it, by taking some kind of action, is going to make us feel better than just accepting what we don't like. So restricting, so doing something, taking some kind of action to make us feel better when our body feels uncomfortable, is going to be really tempting. It's easier than just accepting that maybe we don't love our body yet. So I understand the temptation to act on that feeling, to try and take back control, but it's only going to take you backwards. It's not going to move you forward with your recovery, and it will just make recovery take longer. And maybe this wanting to take action and the urge to do it could maybe be explained with comparing it to another type of anxiety disorder, which makes people revert to unhealthy actions to reduce fear, even if that action isn't helping and in fact keeps them stuck in the cycle. And that is people who have OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. And again, I think some people with eating disorders have some level of compulsive traits that they've learned to maybe make them feel calm and make them feel safe. But people who have OCD, they repeat behaviours to reduce their fears, and by performing a certain behaviour, it provides a momentary relief. So, for example, let's say someone has an obsession with checking that a door is locked. Checking the door over and over again will give them instant relief, but it just creates a loop. So they have to check it again and again and again, because they believe the behaviour of checking the door is what then makes them feel safe. And when they don't check the door, it makes them feel unsafe. So they go back to check the door, they get that momentary sense of feeling safe and control, but the only way that they can keep feeling safe is to keep checking the door. And so similarly, when you turn to restriction to fix a bad body image, you're reinforcing the idea that the restrictive behaviours are necessary to feel safe or to feel relief. So you perform that restrictive behaviour, you momentarily feel better, that wears off, you feel unsafe again, and so you do the restriction behaviour again. And you have to keep doing it to feel that sense of safe or relief. Now the solution, whether it's door locking if you've got OCD, or restricting if you've got body image distress, is actually to learn to sit with the uncomfortable feelings and to teach the brain that there's no danger, there's no reason to try and find safety because there's no danger in the first place. By trying to change the feelings and perform an action against the feelings, you're just reinforcing to your brain that there is danger because you're trying to fix things. Your brain is thinking this must be dangerous because she's trying to fix it. So you need to learn to sit with the uncomfortable feelings or sit with the body you don't feel comfortable in and show your brain that there is no danger, so that your brain stops sending out all those feelings of fear and discomfort, because the problem actually isn't with your body, the problem is in your head. You can't solve the problem in your head by taking it out on your body. Now you'll hear a lot in the recovery space about trying to engage more with examples of body positivity on your social media to improve your sense of body image. And I agree it's important, and exposure over time to different bodies and shapes is good. But I just want to add in here that when you are really in the early stages of recovery and you are not yet ready to love your body, then it's possible engaging with those very positive, body positive accounts might make you feel a little bit like you're failing, because you might start to compare yourselves to people who genuinely seem to love your body. And if you don't feel that way yet, then that comparison at the very early stage with people who really love their body, well, it might just make you feel like you're failing at loving your body. I think you have to remember about people in the body positivity space. Most of those people who are actually brave enough to vocalise body positivity in a world where thin is constantly strived for, well, they're probably people who have struggled with their own body image in the past, and they have probably had to start from where you are starting, a place where they probably think they'll never accept all of their body, but they've put in the work and they've found peace or love for their bodies, and now they are ready to share that message with the world. So at some point they were probably like you. So instead of comparing a feeling that you have to be as body positive as them, then maybe just start to have them as role models, as a place where eventually you might want to get to. So have patience until you start feeling more accepting of your own body. You don't have to be like them straight away, but just use them as role models of people who probably felt like you feel, and as a sign that there is a place where you can work through it and feel so much better, because if they can, then you can. And it's not a competition. Everyone gets to where they get to at a different time in terms of accepting their body, and you've just got to be kind to yourself and be patient with yourself and wait for your feelings about your body to change as you progress through recovery. And as I've said, aim initially for body neutrality, which is kind of a baby step to body love. And even if you never get to body love, then with neutrality you're in a much safer place than when you were damaging your body in an aim to love it, which you never achieved. So, just to kind of clarify the difference between body neutrality and body love. Body love, I guess, requires like a really positive feeling about your body. So maybe it's that feeling that you get when you come out of the hairdressers with the best haircut you've ever had, or a new colour that you really love and you can't stop looking in the mirror and you think you look amazing, and you take loads of selfies and send it to all the group chats. That kind of really positive feeling. Body neutrality is just much more passive. You barely feel any sense of anything at all. It's just a sense of accepting your body for what it does for you. And it doesn't feel great and it doesn't feel bad. It is just what it is. That is a great place to get to in recovery. And if it never changes, it's still a great place to get to. If you can get past that and feel more love for your body, like you feel about that great haircut, then that's amazing. But achieving body neutrality means you have to completely let go of trying to change your body. Whatever problems you think your body's got, you have to let go of trying to solve them. And by achieving body neutrality, you're going to just maybe try and find a sense of peace around your body, that it doesn't need changing, that it works for you, that it enables you to live your life, and there's just a sense of peace, no particularly strong feeling at all. Now, if you know much about eating disorders, or if you've listened to different episodes of my podcast, we've talked previously about the Minnesota Starvation Study, which is a scientific study about what happens to people physically and mentally where their body is restricted and their body is starving, and what the recovery process of that looks like. If you haven't listened to any other episodes about that, then Google it. But that study is, we talked about men who take part in a starvation study who were mentally well at the start of the experiment with no body issues. And having been starved and then recovering, when they started to eat and their body started to change, they started to report things like feeling fat, feeling uncomfortable with changes, and actually for the first time ever, having poor body image during the refeeding and weight gain process. And they started to see themselves differently than they had before they took part in the study and before they took part in the refeeding process. Because that refeeding process set off like a psychological response, body image disturbance. And like I've said earlier to you, their bodies were changing faster than their mental blueprint that their brain had about what their body should look like. So if those men who had never had any previous body issues experienced poor body image in recovery, then it's going to be expected that you might experience that too. And scientifically, it just shows that it's normal. There is nothing wrong with you. And it's important to remember that as the men became fully weight restored and completed the study, their body image returned back to normal. So it's a temporary phase, and the science backs that up. Your brain is going to take a while to catch up with your body It's going to feel hard, and it's going to set off a response that makes you feel really uncomfortable. But when you are fully weight restored, then your body image will improve. It is just a temporary phase. And the other good news is that as you nourish yourself, the parts of your brain that are responsible for anxiety and obsessive thinking, well, they normalise too, because those parts of your brain are really highly impacted by starvation, and they're just going to make any sense of body dysmorphia much worse. So, my tips for body neutrality. Initially, I would, in the very early stages, reduce mirror checks if your body is changing quite quickly. I know some coaches promote exposure to your body in the mirror in an attempt to try and accept the changes, and I definitely think there's a place for that. But I think initially in recovery, I would limit checking, especially if you're checking your body for reassurance that it hasn't changed or you haven't put weight on, or if you're checking the mirror just to punish yourself and make yourself feel bad. So I would say use a mirror for just functional things like brushing your hair and putting your makeup on, rather than standing intensely focusing on your body and trying to find fault with it. And secondly, reframe your body in terms of what it does for you and not what it looks like. So think about the parts of your body you don't like, or all of your body if you don't like any of it, and think about what your body actually does for you. So for me, I don't love that my tummy is bigger than it used to be, because it's where I've gained probably quite a lot of my weight and carry some of the extra weight from recovery. But I know it's protecting my vital organs, it lets me digest my food better, and it keeps my mind and body healthy. So it is what it is. It's different, and I just accept it for what it's doing for me. And lastly, a wardrobe detox. Get rid of the clothes that are too small. Your eating disorder clothes that are only going to fit you when you're in a state of restriction and your body's unhealthy. Get rid of them. Buy clothes that fit you for the size you are now. Don't start trying to guess what size you're going to be and buy clothes for what you think is your recovered body. Buy clothes for where you are now. Your body is going to keep changing, so you might have to buy more clothes as your body changes. All you can do is be in the present and buy clothes that fit you for right now, that are comfortable for now, while your body is changing. So, I hope those tips helped you. As we end this episode, my advice is to give yourself time to get to a better place with your body. Just be patient and compassionate, because recovery really is the hard bit, but it's temporary. And whether you get to a place of true body love, or you just get to a place where you don't think about your body at all because you're really busy doing other things with your life, then that's a major achievement. And thank you all for joining me today. If you have any questions or need my support, you can find me on my website, which is findingyourfreedom.uk. You can find me on social media at the same account. Please send me a message. I would love to help.